Hello friends, good afternoon. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis. Today is 28th May 2018. Myself, Sagar B. Ashwath. I'm a tutor at Shiksha IAS Academy. I teach psychology, Indian economy and ethics. Alright, to start off, we have a quote by Bill Gates. Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose. So, success is not always a good teacher. There have to be some failures. That's what Bill Gates says. So, if you have not tasted failure, you would not learn some important life lessons, right? So, that's what Bill Gates says. On that note, we'll be heading towards the newspaper. It's the front page. In the front page, we have the rise of farmers will propel country's growth, says PM. So this is more about a poll campaign which is going on, which was going on in the by-poll written UP. You need not take a look into this. Nothing much to look into it. And then you have deadlock over Karnataka cabinet, not required. Parties out of purview of RTI Act, says your election commission, right? So political parties are not within the purview of the Right to Information Act. This goes against the directive given by the Central Information Commission. The Central Information Commission had sought to bring 6 national parties under the law so that they would be providing the information related to the donations or the amounts collected through various means. However, they are supposed to submit information related to the donation or the amount collected through electoral bonds in their contribution report from 2017-18, right? So this is something which was about to bring some transparency into the political arena, right? Electoral politics. But these parties are now out of the purview of RTI Act. That's what the Election Commission has said. And it goes contrary to what CIC thinks fit, right? Bats or guardian agents, bats have been in news for all the wrong reasons, mostly because of the Nipah virus, right? There was a wonderful article yesterday where it explained, yesterday or day before yesterday, which explained the transmission, how the transmission happens, how bats are involved, and what other types of viruses do they carry, what other transmissions are happening because of bats, as well as what are the vectors through which these diseases transmit. Everything related to the Nipah virus and the bats, and related to the pigs as well. All the details were given in the article yesterday or day before yesterday. I would suggest you to go through that article. Going further, north, nothing important here. And then you have the east, nothing important. Right, and then if infection cases come down, I say all you need to do is, I would suggest you to make a note of places where this Nipah virus is spreading, right? As of now, it's Kerala, and there was a potential case in Bangalore as well, and now there is a case in Goa as well, a potential case. So it would be better for you guys to note down as to which states this Nipah virus has affected, right? Next, you have you have the nation page. Here nothing seems to be important. And then you have page number 7, the national news. In this, women's health crucial to combat stunting, says a study. So this study, according to a study by International Food Policy Research Institute, which has been analyzing the data from the National Family Health Survey 4, has pointed out certain parameters which are related to women health and also the child health. Mostly the women parameters related to women, which could cause stunting, right? So which are these parameters? Women's body mass index is one indicator, women's education, and then you have the household size, antenatal care, age of marriage, open defecation, and child's adequate diet, right? So these are the parameters which were considered to draw the conclusions. What conclusions were drawn? So the stunting of children below the age of 5 is an issue which is the result of these 5 or these important factors. The majority is contributed to stunting by women's body mass index, education, and then your age of marriage and the child's adequate diet ratio. So these are the parameters which contribute to stunting mostly. So when you analyze the data across the country, right, out of the 239 districts, more than 40% of the children are stunted, right? While 202 districts record between 30 to 40% of stunting, right? So South India does better when it comes to stunting. That is, the number of stunting cases are lesser in the south. India accounts for approximately third of the world's stunted children at 63 million, right? The levels of stunted children have improved in the country, which was at 48% in 2006. Now it has dropped to 38.4 in 2016. There are wide variations when you compare the states as well as compare the districts within the states. So the populous northern states account for 80% of the stunted children. That's a huge number, right? The research highlights that there is a need to target the policies so as to combat stunting with a focus on addressing critical determinants in individual districts. So it has to be mission mode and it has to be rather targeted as different districts have different problems, right? So the 4 crucial parameters in women that together contribute to 44% in reduction of stunting would be your body mass index and education and age of marriage and also your antenatal care, right? So these are the important factors which need to be taken care of, right? Going further, nothing's important here. This one, a deal that can be done. This is about what would happen to the US and the North Korean talks, right? What would be the possible outcome? And there have been several flip-flops by Donald Trump regarding the talks. So at one point he said he was happy to meet. Just last week he said he was not going to meet and kept the window open, however, towards the end of his letter. And now he says that his administration is saying that there might be talks on June 12th, and officials are making arrangements for the talks between the two leaders. So once the talks are done, we'll look into what things would look like, right? So stress test, water management reforms are needed to avert public hardship and economic loss. This is about how different states are bracing themselves up for the monsoon, and trying to conserve the water resources for the coming of future, foreseeable future, that is this year, in case the monsoon comes, monsoon shortfall or monsoon deficit is something which worries most of the states. So as we are on the cusp of southwest monsoons, several states are hoping to revive their rivers and reservoirs with some bountiful rain. One of them is Gujarat, which has rolled out a plan to keep away the deficit monsoon which it experienced last year. So the state government, what it has done is it has started a labor-intensive program to desilt the rivers and water bodies, and its problem is reflected in. Its problem reflects the drought which embraces the whole of India, most parts of India. We have scanty rainfall, right, in different regions. So this year's fall in reservoirs shortage levels to below average levels has affected farmers who depend on the Sardar Sarovar dam across Narmada River and several other reservoirs in Madhya Pradesh. So under political pressure from the Congress party in Gujarat, the government is to defend itself. So it is supposed to do something about the shortage of water which it has experienced since March, right? Apart from this, the problem is not just limited to Gujarat. Delhi also faces a problem where it has been at loggerheads with Haryana for the reduced water supply, water release from in the Yamuna. This highlights the growing stresses of the vital resource. So what is required is urgent water management reforms must be undertaken to help the citizens avoid economic losses, right? So if anything, this year's pre-monsoon phase has not been up to mark in the starting phase, but now it has reached the near normal levels. The monsoon itself is highly variable, right? This underscores the need to have a set of comprehensive reforms at the state level, and the center should help to conserve hydrological resources. So this is something which has to be kept in mind, and there are certain suggestions given in this part. I would suggest you to just go through that part and take down a few points on nothing specific, or so as to say, nothing from these pointers can you write in the answers. So I will be skipping this part. So a health scheme, the next part is a health scheme that should not fail. So this is about the implementation of Ayushman Bharat. So this is a national health protection scheme. It is a flagship program for the government, given that we have the general elections next year. Any government which is in power does roll out some social policies in the areas of education, health and welfare before the election season. So there are no exceptions to this rule when it comes to political parties. So keeping the political agenda aside, such schemes are rather welcome. So this health policy has two objectives: to enhance the health of the population and reduce the financial risk for those trying to get the treatment. So success in the first part, that is enhancement in the health, is measured by the reduction in the disease burden or subsequent increase in people's longevity, right? Or reduce spending or getting impoverished when seeking the healthcare measures the second aspect. So since the health scheme, or the present health scheme, that is Ayushman Bharat, seeks to address both these critical health goals, it is an important step forward, and it must be seen to it that it is implemented rather properly. So the scheme has two components. One is to upgrade the 150,000 sub-centers. These sub-centers will be developed or upgraded in the areas where there is 5,000 or more population. These sub-centers will be upgraded into welfare wellness clinics that provide 12 sets of services, and the second component is to provide health security to 40% of India's population that requires hospitalization. The insured sum would be 5 lakh rupees per year per family. So if implemented as integral components of a strategy to improve the abysmal status of India's healthcare system, the initiative can help achieve the goals of equity, efficiency, and quality. What are the key issues which might come in the way of this Ayushman Bharat scheme? The key issues affecting this sector is the massive shortage in the supply of services, mostly the human resources, hospitals and the diagnostic centers, both in the public and the private sector. Moreover, you also have inequitable availability between and within states, right? Even the best of states, when it comes to health, that is Tamil Nadu, has over 30% shortage of medical and non-medical professionals, right? So a related question that arises, that while the NHBS will empower patients with the rupees 5 lakh voucher, where do they encash this? The health budget does not have, the increased allocation, nor there is any policy to bring in the public sector or the private sector in the deficit areas. So it does provide portability, that is, people from one area can come and get their hospitalization in other areas. However, as we saw here, even in the best of states like Tamil Nadu, there was a shortage of health personnel. So given that you have the problem with infrastructure, you have the problem with you have the problem with the health personnel and increasing medical tourism, and also you have a lot of domestic patients, it is still unclear whether the implications of such a national policies on the fragile health system has been fully comprehended, and how the entire scheme proposes to address them. Right. Another problem is price factor, how the pricing would be done once this scheme kicks in. Why? Because what we generally see is the prices at which the medical facility is given, medical services provided under the insurance will be generally costlier, right? It is a package deal that comes with it. So the price factor is something which the government needs to look into, right? This is the next article is vote of choice. Ireland votes in numbers to rid itself of inhumane restrictions on abortions. So Ireland is a Catholic country, right? And though the country has moved away from its moorings related to religion, right? The state itself has moved away from the religion. It is separated from religion. The problem was that the country was unable to move away from its stigma towards abortions, right? It's a forward-looking country, no doubt. Democracy, yes, right? Progressive outlook, yes. But when it comes to abortions, it was held back so far. Now, Ireland has firmly put itself into the 21st century by, voting overwhelmingly to repeal the constitutional block on abortions. So a referendum was held, and this practice of prohibiting abortions was removed. So the amendment which was introduced in 1983 to strengthen the older law outlawing abortions grants an unborn child and the woman carrying it an equal right to life. Consequently, abortions in Ireland have been only permitted when the life of the woman is at risk, including from suicide. This exception too was introduced only in 2013 when a 31-year-old Savita Halapanavar, a dentist from Karnataka, died of sepsis in hospital after being denied an abortion while miscarrying 17 weeks. Right? So, this couple, or Savita Halapanavar, was not lucky enough to get that chance of going abroad so as to get aborted. So the law now allows people to go out of the country and get the abortion done. Savita Halapanavar case was different, and she was not allowed to leave the country, right? And in 2016, the United Nations asked the Ireland to relax its laws around the abortion after a woman's highly publicized experience of trauma traveling to England to terminate her pregnancy because of fetal abnormalities were found. So the Irish government has now indicated that it will now pass laws to give women the right to terminate pregnancies up to 12 weeks. These are trivial details, right? You need not go into much of the details. You just have to know that it was a recent country where abortion law or restrictions on abortion, such a law was disbanded or removed, right? So that is Ireland. A blow to civil services ideals. This is not something a question which cannot be asked in your mains examination, right? Let's see how the government handles this situation. After that, we can go through that part. So we built 27 kilometers of highways a day, says PM. UP's rate was just 12 kilometers. That's a political statement made. So this was made on this sidelines of inauguration of 135 kilometer peripheral expressway, which will now channel away the traffic which is not destined for Delhi, and it would reduce the vehicular pollution at the national capital region as well. Right? It's a 6-lane expressway and will connect Kundli with Palwal in Haryana via Ghaziabad and Greater Noida. So it's a 6-lane expressway because there was a lot of humdrum about this thing. You just know that Eastern Peripheral Expressway, which places it connects, right? Right. So India protests Pakistan's illegal disarm order. Again, we'll see how things pan out on this particular region, Gilgit-Baltistan region, I would suggest you to just look into where this Gilgit-Baltistan region falls. We'll discuss the details on the other day. Okay. Right. US officials in North Korea to prepare for summit. So, as I said, there will be, there were preparations ongoing for the Trump and Kim Jong-un summit. Whether it will happen or not happen is something which has to be waited and watched. Right. So that's about it for today. Right. We have one more thing. 36 firms line up to go public. It's about IPO, initial public offering, where the companies go for the first time to raise capital by selling the shares publicly. So that's initial public offering, and most of these IPOs are for expansion and working capital requirement, right? So blockchain being used in banking contracts. So the technology will be used to allow different stages of transactions to be done securely, and this would reduce the transaction costs, and it would bring in operational efficiency, right? It would reduce the cost of documentation, and there would be more robustness within the banking systems. And there is one more thing related to land records. Blockchain technology can be used to digitize and authenticate the currently complicated records of land. India, like many other countries, has problems with the land titles and ownership. So the blockchain technology can solve this problem, right? So that's the thing which this article talks about. So that's about it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.